What's going on, everybody? Today is October 12th of 2020. Got a pretty interesting video for you today. We're going to talk about this Dak Prescott injury where he suffered a compound fracture to his right ankle as well as a dislocation. And one of the worst injuries you'll ever see. Anytime someone gets their leg broken like this, you kind of feel the pain yourself. And certainly hope Dak is getting all the care he needs and is feeling better, because that is some gruesome stuff to watch. Of course, there's video of this that I have linked in my blog post. Now, I'm not going to play the rest of this clip, but you can sort of see, judging by how this tackle is playing out, how this ends, and it doesn't end very well for Dak's leg. So no, it wasn't just a cramp. It was a pretty bad injury. And as we should not be surprised by now, this injury also happened by the numbers, so to speak. So we're going to talk about, first of all, how the Gematria of Dak Prescott ties into this date, as well as Coach Mike McCarthy, who was hired as the Cowboys coach back on January 6th of this year. The numerology of these two men combining together for this really strange ritual. Now, in the description below, and excuse me, I use the word ritual as if this was an intentional thing. Certainly doesn't look like that, but this will make sense as we go. So in the description below, you'll see a video that I made back in January after Mike McCarthy got hired, and I pointed out how it appeared to be a numeric ritual. Now, the hiring of Mike McCarthy, certainly ritualistic in nature. He was 57 days into his 57th year since he was born, and the name Mike McCarthy sums to 57 in reduction. Now this leads us into the right ankle injury of Dak Prescott, right ankle summing to 57 in reverse. Look at... All right. So let's start off with the date before we get into the rest of these numbers. And the date of this injury was Sunday, October 11th. Now, the date October 11th is written 10/11, and in numerology, 1011 represents 111 since the zeros are dropped. This game was being played against New York, which sums to 111 in the alphabetic order. A is 1, B is 2, C is 3, through Z as 26. Now, 111 is a number that I've associated with Dak Prescott in the past. Notice his full name, Rain Dakota Prescott. In reverse gematria, sums to 111. Prescott attended college at Mississippi State University, where he played quarterback. And notice how Mississippi State also yields a 111. I commonly talk about the total solar eclipse code on this channel. I want to point out that this injury also occurred 1 year and 101 days after the most recent total solar eclipse. And for one more 111, look at Mike McCarthy's birthday, November 10th, 11/10. So similar numerology to the date 1011, just 3 ones. And in the second part of this video, I'm going to talk about how, for me personally, I actually saw this injury happen live, and it kind of creeped me out because I had just finished a post about New York quarterback Joe Namath and the Jets winning Super Bowl III. And I literally finished this post within a couple minutes of this injury occurring, where a quarterback gets injured against New York. In very strange numerical alignments we'll look at too. So some of the wildest Matrix-like stuff that's happened in my personal life in a long time, and I'm going to prove to you that I made this post right before the injury. It's really strange. So anyway, as I pointed out, the hiring of Mike McCarthy, I have a big post on this. Again, 57 days into his 57th year. It was 57 weeks after he was fired from the Packers. 57 is a moon number, and McCarthy's full name has matching gematria with the moon. And 13, he's born on a date with 103 numerology. Dallas is 13, like star. Getting a little carried away there, but if you measure from the date that Mike McCarthy was hired as the coach, which was on January 6th of this past year, notice how he was hired 279 days before the Prescott injury. Now, this is very interesting because if you instead plug in Mike McCarthy's birthday, November 10th of 1963, notice how he was 20,790 days old also. So hired 279 days before the injury and was 20,790 days old, two numbers with 279 numerology. But what's so fascinating about this is that if you convert this to weeks, you find it's exactly 2,970 weeks. This represents the number 297. Now, there's a date that you can pull from the number 297. That would be the 29th of July, or 29/7. That's the birthday of Dak Prescott. So, just before this injury happened, like I mentioned, I had finished this post. And I'm actually going to go full screen here and show you the timestamps, just to kind of drive the point home, I suppose. Of course, my blog is prone to server errors ever since its inception. And I'll let you come up with the theories about why this still happens. So, okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to just quickly edit this post. I'm going to put test here, right? Just so I can get a new timestamp for a new revision of this post. So I'll go up here and hit update. And of course I get an error. Oh, Lord. No, this might take a minute. Test, let's update that. What do you say? All right, so what I want to point out is that when I just made this edit right now, 17:23, so that would be 5:23 p.m., notice how my clock down here in the corner says 6:23 p.m., and I'm Central Time, so we can deduce based on this that this is Mountain Time, right? So when I finished this post and originally put it up, it was 4:23 Mountain Time, which is 5:23 Central. Now, this game between the Giants and Cowboys kicked off a little bit before 3:30 my time. So this post went up about 2 hours after the game started. And if you look at the video of the injury... Oh, I stopped it just in time. But look how much time is left. There's 6 minutes left in the third quarter. So we're about 2 hours into this game. So I finished this post, and then I turn my attention to this, and then this happens, right? It's pretty wild. Now, what the post that I made at first was about Super Bowl III and how it was a numerical tribute to the attacks of 9/11. The New York Jets, and think about jets flying into the World Trade Center. The Jets won this game 16-7 over the Baltimore Colts. And a 167 is a prime number. See here how it's the 39th prime. In Gematria, New York equals 39. New York is known as the Empire State. Notice how Empire equals 39. In reverse, the Jets equals 39. I point out how the first governor, George Clinton, governor of New York, governor equals 39, George and Clinton both 39. So I put out a little numerology on the coach here. We'll get to that in a little bit, but I mainly focused on Joe Namath, the quarterback for the Jets. And the big riddle here is that Super Bowl III capped off the 68 NFL season. And 68 is the year that the construction began on the World Trade Center towers. In fact, construction on the South Tower, the second one, began the very same month that Super Bowl III was played. Now, of course, 68 was 33 years before 9/11. New York equals 33 in Gematria, and with the S exception, so does the Jets. Now, famously, the Jets quarterback, Broadway Joe Namath, guaranteed victory for the game. It was a huge upset. Notice how the name Namath equals 33, so does Joe Namath. Of course, 33 is 11 times 3. The Jets went 11-3 that year. Notice how Joe Namath equals 156 in the reverse alphabetic order. And that stands out because the 156th prime number is 911. Of course, September 11th, or 9/11, the date of the attacks. Also, 33, remember, that equals 156. Now look at his nickname, Broadway Joe, as he's known. Broadway Joe in the alphabetic order, summing to 119. Furthermore, Broadway Joe sums to 1433, just like September the 11th, 1433. In that same cipher, World Trade Center equals 1337, and on the date of Super Bowl III, Joe Namath was exactly 1,337 weeks old. Looking back at this 1433 that's shared by September the 11th and Broadway Joe, this is another prime number, the 227th prime number. In ordinal, September the 11th equals 227, and the date of the Super Bowl was a span of 227 days after Broadway Joe's birthday. So there's more here. Check out my blog. That's always linked in the description below for more. So I finished this post and then, about a quarterback from the New York Jets. And then Dak Prescott gets injured against New York. Notice how Dak Prescott sums to 132 and 165. That's the gematria of New York Jets, 132 and 165. Now check out the gematria of right ankle, 165. So as I mentioned in the post, it's this kind of shit that makes me wonder if I created some sort of digital Ouija board without even really realizing it. And at this point, I would venture to say that's absolutely the case. And right ankle, this is the exact phrase they had when they came back from commercial. They pitched it down to the sideline reporter, Tony Romo and Jim Nantz, and they're like, Michelle, what's going on down there with Dak Prescott? And they're like, well, Tony, word from the locker room is that the injury is a right ankle. And I thought, no shit. Everybody saw the damn man's ankle was turned sideways. Like, duh, it was his right ankle. So maybe the gematria there had some significance. Also, notice how right ankle equals 57 and 105, just like the name Namath, the quarterback that I had just finished decoding. As far as the 57, that's the Mike McCarthy riddle. 57. Another thing that stood out about this injury is that if you measure from the 9/11 attacks to Dak Prescott's injury, you get exactly 19 years and 1 month. So here we have the same digits as 9/11. And then you look at Joe Namath's age, and he was 19 weeks and 1 day after his birthday. He's also 77 years old, which sticks out because September 11th equals 77 in reduction. So does World Trade Center. Remember Flight 77? 77th meridian, 77 minutes, 777 feet per second, 77-foot tall building. I feel like I've said that 77 times by now. But as far as this 191, this is another prime number. 191 is the 43rd prime number. Now, Joe Namath was born in the year 43. And Dak Prescott is the quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys, which equals 43. Also notice the 74 in Dak Prescott. I'm sorry, Dallas Cowboys, 74. Dak Prescott was 74 days after his birthday when he broke his ankle. Pretty strange stuff here, I must say. Real quick, just to kind of show you more about how the Super Bowl III here was a numeric ritual. This was actually the first game that was called the Super Bowl in the time leading up to the game. Super Bowl I and II were both called the NFL-AFL Championship game and were only called the Super Bowl retroactively. And that's very important because, of course, like we said, it's the third Super Bowl. Super Bowl III equals 68, like the 68 NFL season. But I also want to show how the coach of the Jets, the man who led the team to the victory in the Super Bowl, was also coded by the numbers, just like Joe Namath. So I mentioned all the 39s here, right? The 39th prime number coded into the score of the game. Well, when you write out 39, notice how it has Gematria of 56 in reverse reduction. Weeb Eubank, one of my favorite coaching names of all time, born on the date May 6th, written 5/6. The name Eubank equals 56 in ordinal. Eubank was born on a date with 37 numerology, 5 plus 6 plus 19 plus 7. Weeb Eubank equals 37. Notice how Weeb Eubank lived until the age of 91 years old. In ordinal, Weeb Eubank equals 91. Now, if you measure from his birthday to the date of the Super Bowl, notice how it was 251 days after his birthday. Well, 251, that's another prime number, the 54th prime number. And check out how in ordinal and reverse, the team Jets sums to 54. Also notice the 27, Jets. This guy's full name was Wilbur Charles Eubank, which sums to 207, a lot like Jets 27. Also, Jets equals 9. If you multiply 9 times 9, you get 81. So this coach was the perfect guy for the job, no doubt. All right, I think that's all I got. I guess just to end this video, as far as making a post about something and then watching something very related happen, this is definitely not the first time, and anyone who practices, numerology or gets into arithmancy or anything like that is familiar with this. So back on August 1st of last year, I made a 2-part post on the deaths of 2 pro wrestlers, Rick Rude and Curt Hennig. And on that same date, August 1st, we had the death of pro wrestler Harley Race. Harley Race was a tag team champion with Larry the Axe Hennig, who was Curt Hennig's father. So when I woke up to this news, it blew my mind because I was like, wow, I just did a post on Curt Hennig. Then his dad's partner dies the same day, August 1st, 2019. Oh, there was one other I was going to bring up where it was very synchronistic. I thought I pulled the post up, but now I can't find it. Oh, boy. I think you get the point, though, guys. Like I said, there's this idea that it's some sort of, digital Ouija board that we were playing with. And, what I've realized, too, is that I've had dreams by the numbers. So let me talk about another one. Since I can't remember the other post I was going to mention, I've noticed that I've dreamt by the numbers, and that sounds weird, but by golly, it's so true. And let me share with you something very personal that struck home and hit me really hard last month. You may recall we had a storm called Hurricane Laura. And I'm going to have to pull this obituary up. So, okay. So, Hurricane Laura formed on August 20th, but it wasn't named until August 21st. So I know I read this in multiple sources. I'm not sure if it still says this exactly. That's when the state of emergency was declared. But I assure you, they called it Tropical Storm Laura beginning on August 21st. Now, back in early 2008, I lost my sister-in-law, my oldest brother's wife, to cancer. And she was only 37 years old. Cancer equals 37 in reverse. Something that my brother shared with me, too, is that he believes that she took her last breath at 3:12 a.m., and 3:12 is her birthday, March 12th. So she passed away on January 28th. Now, if you think about January 28th, 128 is the opposite of 821. And on the date that this storm was named Laura, I had a very vivid dream where I was with my brother and my sister-in-law, and we were just hanging out, like having lunch, talking, and it was a very real conversation. And when I was growing up, my mom always talked about how she would get visits from her mom in her dreams. And I wasn't sure always what to think of it, but then as I got older, I realized that, like my cousin who passed away when I was younger, I've had dreams where I'm just chit-chatting with him, and it feels so real. It's like an actual interaction. And even though I woke up and it seems like it didn't happen, no one can convince me that it truly did not. It was as real as anything. And this had a very similar feel to it. So I remembered this dream, and then I remember 2 days later on the 23rd, I heard there was a Hurricane Laura, and I was like, wow, that's strange. I just had a dream. And then I realized the dates were opposite, August 21st and 128. So this is the kind of stuff that, it really blows my mind, but it's the stuff that I really want to share with people the most. Because when it comes to numerology, it's not all evil. It's just how it works to some extent. We're all experiencing this together on some different level. And we're all tuned in to whatever's relevant to us and our lives and our emotional development. Hope that makes sense for you guys, but going to have to leave it there. I think we covered enough in this video. Thanks to everybody who tuning in, live or archived. Your views, subscriptions, likes, always appreciated. Shares as well, of course, since YouTube's algorithm does us no favors any longer. All right, guys. Peace, love, God bless, and we'll talk to you next time. See ya.